Alrighty folks, want to welcome you back to another video from Yates Computer Tips and Reviews. Well, this is going to continue on along the same lines of my networking videos. This is a little bit more information, some more stuff that most people probably already know, but it's something that I wanted to cover to make sure that you do really know. Mentioned in the other videos about shielded, unshielded, how it uses basically the same connector. And I wasn't too sure if I covered that in all of my other previous videos. I'm pretty sure I did on some of the network switches and those type of things. The basic way to tell the difference is on your port. I don't know if you can see, but there's a little metal edge that wraps around. That makes that a shielded port. Just that little tiny metal connector on both sides. So that way, when you put a shielded cable in, as you can see on the sides, there's the metal. You slide that in, it locks in. I want everybody to see it's still the same port, same connector. Take a different standard cable, you can go into the other port perfectly fine. It's just if your hardware supports it. When I mentioned for like gamers, where gamers might be interested, even if you have Wi-Fi, this is the gray area right now. Why I kind of hesitated on my other video. Because nowadays you can get a cable modem, DSL modem, that is the modem and everything integrated into it and the Wi-Fi. So you won't need a cable. If you buy your own, because you don't want to pay their fee to use their Wi-Fi, or you want a better speed, or you want a mesh network, or you want any of those other things I cover in all my other videos, you'll end up using a network cable. You'll go from their device to your device, and then from there everything will connect to your device by Wi-Fi. Also, you have additional ports most of the time that you may want to run out to other things, a TV or this or that. So this is where you have that option between your shielded cable and your non-shielded cable. I mentioned in the videos about coupling the two together. Don't do that between the round and the flat. This is basically what a coupler is. It has this on both ends. Click the one side in, and you click the other side in, so that you can have a long enough cable to reach to where you want. You don't want to do this. You don't want flat mixed with round, because the transmission rates are completely different. That's why you have a lot of problems with this flat cable. Round cable is certified to certain standards, and this is what's designed for a network cable. Not really this flat cable. This flat cable was designed basically to run under carpets, but there's other ways to do it, run it through the wall, and other things to do it properly than to run it under the carpet, because then if something heavy runs over it, it breaks it. Put a couch or something on there that's heavy and someone sits on it, it breaks it. So these are the factors I wanted to bring up between these. Basically, this is the connector on the end of a network cable. If you make them yourself, this is what a connector looks like. This one is a Cat 5e connector. They are different between a Cat 6 and a Cat 5e connector. The difference is in here. How far the cable goes in. If I've shown you the other cable, I can show you. Will this one show you? That's actually a Cat 5 connector. This is Cat 5e. You see the big white thing, how far it goes? Cat 5. That's also a Cat 5 connector. That's why, like on this Cat 7, I told you it's so hard to see. I can't really show you because of the shielding. I don't have any Cat 6 connectors presently here. I've used them up. Difference is your wiring sheathing goes all the way up to here. So it actually goes in further. So you have less crosstalk space. You have less chances of those wires being straight right there next to each other. That you have the twist all the way to the pins. That's the key difference. So that's another factor between Cat 5e and moving up. That's another factor why you don't really want to attach two Cat 5es or attach this to a patch cable, because of the space between here, and then you're going to have this bridging with all the copper wire that runs in here, and then you're going to have that on the end. So you're going to have a space about this much where you don't have the proper twisting and the proper stuff to prevent the crosstalk. So wanted to point that out, showing the ends, how these are. I don't have a Keystone Jack, but a Keystone Jack is basically the same thing, but it has a little clip that clips in the outlet that you put on the wall. Keystone Jacks. Two different styles of Keystone Jacks. You can buy something that's like this, that has the one on each side, that will clip onto the wall, where you can actually snap this in and then put it into the wall. Or there's the other style that has the punch downs where you punch in the wires. So there's two different styles. Well, now you have the shielded ones where basically you put the wires in there, you put the shielding in there, and you squeeze it down and it squeezes in there. You don't really terminate it the way with the punch tool and all of that. There's some little tweaks on it that they have. You cut them off, you put the wire, cut the wires to the right length, you put it in there and you just squeeze it. So there's a couple different styles out there to look at. But you can always use shielded. You can buy these that are shielded. This one is not shielded. As you can see, there's no metal edging, no nothing to make contact with that connector. You can buy them shielded. Same with the Keystone Jacks. You can buy them shielded. So this was going to be a short video just to show you the rj45. That's what this jack is an rj45. It's the same on all three of these cables. It's the same that connects into here. Now, if you have the old analog phone styles and stuff, you can use the smaller phone cables and clip them in here. I don't want to confuse people, but want you to be aware of that. You can use an rj45 port for phone. For the rj11, the 12, and whatever other little, I know there's like 5 different ones with the 2-pin, 4-pin, 6-pin configurations. Can all be used in here. As long as the back end supports it, how you connect. So I wanted to go through that and let you know. I know if you're in a business environment, some people do not use the rj45 jacks with phone. They use the phone jack port and they leave those lines empty. You can use the rj45 Keystone Jack and plug a 2-line phone line in, because the 2-line phone line uses the center pair. That'll I'm going to get into with your color coding and all of that. So color coding will be coming up. So I wanted to touch base on that. That is the same port you can use. So that should be a simple rundown on this key part. I wanted to keep them separate, keep them apart, because if you go back to look for key information, I want you to be able to find what you want to find. I don't want you to watch a 4-hour video to find out about the rj45. At the end, I should have a good run through on a lot of the information, combining all of this again, so that you understand how an rj45, how this cable actually relates to the entire network. So, as I mentioned, for gamers, this stuff can be all very relevant. If you have a modem you got from your cable company that you're renting, and you buy your own Wi-Fi network, whatever setup you want to have, because there's so many different ones now. If you go with the AX, or you go with whatever the newest technology is, or you go with a mesh network or whatever, and you want to attach it to that, you're going to need a cable. What is the right cable? What is the wrong cable? A lot of people I know just go out and buy the cheap Cat 5e. There's nothing really wrong with that. There's really nothing wrong with it. It's not as stable, not as reliable as a Cat 6, but would you really notice it? Probably not. As a home user, probably not. I don't use it because I know the difference. I've seen it. Done the benchmarks, I've done the testing. So, only reason why I have this one is so if I have a problem with these I'm testing, I can put this one in. So, that's why I have the Cat 5e. Odds are I'm going to buy Cat 6 for those TVs and go from there. But if the Cat 7 works out fine for me and I have no problems here in a few months, I might just leave it. But that's an option for you. Because if you have the technology and you have the stuff that can support a Cat 6 shielded, you can go online and get it for $8, $12, $10, depending on the length. You might need a little 3-footer for $4. Something cheap. Maybe you find something even cheaper. It might be something to consider if you're looking at Cat 5e and a Cat 6 and a Cat 7. If it's, 50 cent different, quarter cent different between the two, you might want to swing way up there like I did to the Cat 7. Why not? If it's $1 difference between a Cat 5e and a Cat 7, that's just something I wanted you to consider, because most people think, oh, I need a cable, I'm going to go out and buy this, and they run out, buy the Cat 5e. Well, last time I looked, this was twice as much, at least twice as much. I think this was 3 times as much as this. The Cat 6 was twice as much, because everybody was running out when the pandemic started to get these. They were short on them. Nobody had them. Prices skyrocketed through the roof. When you can go out and buy a Cat 7 for a third of the price or half the price. Just informational. Look around. Look what's out there. It's backwards compatible, so it'll work with the older speeds, the older technology, but it supports a lot more. It's designed to work harder. So that's what I liked. That's why I took that deal. That's why I'm testing this. Because there's no way I'm going to hit 10 gig or 25 gig or 50 gig or whatever the technical rating is for this cable. I'm not even going to hit a gig. My internet's not that fast. So, again, that's one of the variables. I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't want that because I can't use the 10 gig speed. But there's much more variables to this. Do your research, do your homework. You'll see a lot of studies that will tell you Cat 6 is far more better than Cat 5e. So, I know I've rambled on actually twice as long as I wanted to on a lot of the same subjects, but I wanted to cover. These are all the same connector. It's not like in the old days where you would have, you know, USB and USB 1 and 2 and A and C, and there were different connectors and all of this. They're still the same connector as of today of filming. There is no plan I know of changing this connector. I know they've talked about doing networking through USB and all this type of stuff, but that's completely different than Cat cable, the networking cable. So I wanted to elaborate that, show what the joiner is, show you what an end is when you make your own cables. You strip them out, put the cable in there, crimp it down, cut off the end, or if you have the ones, the easy crimp where the lines come out, or you have to trim them off and make it right, stick it in there. Different variables to the ends on how to do it. So I wanted to show everybody what just the end is. You have the boots that can go on there. The boots. This is not technically a boot, that's a sleeve that comes in to there that protects the wire that meets the jack. This is kind of a boot. It covers the pin. These are nice because it covers that pin. A lot of times, a lot of cables I replace, it's because this pin gets broken off. This pin actually holds it into the port. Down here on the bottom, you can see the little triangle like notched down. When you slide that in, you can hear it click. That locks in. That pin locks in, so that cable don't come out. One thing I forgot to cover: if you want to take those cables out, please squeeze that pin and don't just yank it. I've seen it. Got called. Oh, I tried to take that cable out and the connector's still in the port and it's ripped loose of the wire because what they did is they grabbed the wire and went, eek. No, that's not how you take them out. Squeeze that pin, pull it out. You heard the locking sound. You understand that. Especially home users, you might not understand that. How often do you change that? How often do you change any of this stuff? You know, when you do upgrade, it's probably once in a blue moon. So I understand the simple mistake because you don't do it, but this video is to inform you how to do it, so at least you can do that. I think that covers mostly everything. As you can see, all of them have that little spot for that to lock in. Alrighty, let's wrap that one up, and I'll consider making some more. Got to figure out what I want to cover next. Come back next week. Make sure you hit the bell, subscribe, make sure you tell everybody about this content because this is important. Silly little thing, network cable. 4 videos now, 5 coming, the 6th coming on a network cable. This isn't even covering the switches, routers, or anything else. This is just your network cables. Now you have your solid and your serrated. It's probably my next video. So come back next week and you'll be able to see that one. Alrighty, thank you.